Ah, Grace, you're back. That's good. I was just about to call you.
He means he wants me to call you because Paul here still hasn't figured out how to use a phone.
That's not true. I know how, I just don't like them. They're confusing. Anyhow, I've been contemplating our list of suspects, and I think Pan is someone we need to consider.
Why Pan? I thought you'd rejected him as a suspect.
Persephone did, but I've had time to think it over. Pan is a schemer, a traitor in favors. He always has been. His sudden appearance in all this cannot be coincidental.
You think he could have killed Calliope after all?
Perhaps. Or he knows who did and is trying to turn it to his benefit. He always knows more than he pretends.
Wait. You don't like phones?
I just don't like talking to people I can't see.
No, it's the ringtones. They scare the crap out of him, I kid you not.
I'm not frightened. Only a child would be frightened. They're just very loud.
Yeah.
Can we return to the subject of Pan, please?
You should know. Pan asked me to meet him at Olympus. I'm not sure why.
Wait, he wants to see you again? I don't like this.
Why? Is he that bad? Should I not go?
No. Perhaps it's best that you do, even if it's just to find out what he wants and why. Aphrodite is holding a party of sorts, one you should attend. She is closest to Pan. Indeed, she knows almost all the idols. If anyone is up to something, she's bound to know.
What do you mean by a party of sorts? I mean, I'm always down for a party, but...
It's more of a remembrance than a party, really. It's difficult to describe.
That's awfully vague, Apollo.
It'll be easier to see for yourself. It's nothing you can't handle.
You know Aphrodite better than I do. Can't you talk to her?
Well, talking to Aphrodite isn't something anyone does with much success these days.
Well, if that's the case, what makes you think I'll get anywhere?
There's a standing invitation for the Muse to attend this party. Calliope never went, so Aphrodite will be thrilled to see you. Trust me. If I thought you couldn't get her to talk, I wouldn't suggest it.
I still have that invitation from Pan. Maybe it'd be easier if I just went to see him.
You could, but would you believe anything he had to say?
I could always beat the truth out of him.
Well, whatever you do, be careful. I still think Aphrodite is our best bet.
Okay, I'll go. Eventually.
Perfect. I will see you there.
Paul, you should see this. The names you wanted me to look up are getting weird results.
I don't doubt it. I was hoping you could...
Get over here!
No worries, Paul. I'll see you later.
As I recall, Grace, when I said stay or leave, you chose to leave. If it wasn't clear, I don't give second chances. Or did you have some other reason for darkening my doorstep?
I wanted to see you again. Make sure there were no hard feelings.
Oh, so it's a social visit then. Oh, let me be clear. There are no hard feelings. There are no feelings at all. You came, you got what you wanted, you left. Wherever you need to go next, I'm sure Apollo can take you.
There's nothing stopping us from being friends. We don't need to be allies.
As I said before, I'm still not convinced of your innocence. I'd say that stops us from being friends, Grace.
Really? Still?
Either you're guilty, in which case you won't be here long, or you're innocent, and we can speak after the trial. But one last word of advice before you go. If you want to survive, don't look to anyone else for help. Not Apollo, not Pan, not even me. You walked away from my offer, and I respect that. Make your choices and live with them.
Fancy party? Check. Bunch of strangers? Check. Grace totally not dressed for the occasion? Check. Now, if only I knew what I was supposed to be doing here.
Grace, you made it. I'm so glad. I was beginning to wonder.
You didn't say this was a fancy party. I feel a little underdressed.
Grace, look at me. I didn't even button up my shirt. It's fine.
Why is everyone so quiet? You'd think someone died.
I should have told you about this earlier. I've been putting it off.
You're cute when you're all angsty. You get this little crinkle in your forehead.
You might not think I'm so cute after I explain. You don't have any of Calliope's memories, right? No déjà vu recollections that aren't your own?
No. Should I have?
Not right away. For a while, you won't remember anything. We call it the veil. In time, the veil will start to lift, slowly at first, but eventually you'll remember almost everything Calliope did.
Seems like the sort of thing you should tell a new idol.
New idols are usually chosen. You would know about this already, except
Calliope was murdered.
well, remember how old we all are. There are so many memories, so the veil lifts gradually to protect you. Eventually, it's like a flood. It becomes difficult to separate what's you and what's them, and all who came before them.
I have a hard time believing I'll forget who I am.
You won't stop being you. You'll just also be everyone else who isn't you.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I understand. Take some time to let it sink in. If you like, we can talk about it later.
What does this have to do with the party?
Aphrodite hasn't been the same since we came to the New World. She has horrific memories of what she endured during the war. Passing on her eidolon is a way to forget, for a while. That's what this party is for.
When you say she's gonna pass on her eidolon, you mean...
She's going to die, yes, and pass her soul on to a chosen successor.
in front of everyone?
We're here to help, Grace. To make it easier for Aphrodite to do what she feels she must. We're here to say goodbye. At least for a while.
This isn't the first time Aphrodite's done this. She's held this kind of gathering before, right?
This is her fourth, I think, perhaps fifth.
So every time the veil, whatever you call it, when it starts to lift...
Aphrodite's memories return, and eventually it is too much. We gather to pay our respects and to honor the past. While she still remembers it.
Wait. Calliope refused to come to these parties. That's what you said.
She refused on principle. Everything Calliope did was on principle. She believed Aphrodite was indulging her sadness, wallowing in it. She thought Aphrodite should try harder. It was a point of contention between them. Aphrodite will be grateful you're here. Trust me.
Do you support what Aphrodite is doing here?
It's not my choice to make, Grace.
Yeah, but you must have an opinion.
Eventually you will remember what we experienced during the war, and eventually you will remember that what Aphrodite experienced was far worse. If this is the mercy she requires, I will not tell her she should not take it.
Okay, so what did Aphrodite want Calliope to do? What did she want me to do?
Well, knowing Aphrodite, she'll want you to make a production of it all. She's not here just yet. Until she arrives, I suggest mingling.
Mingling.
Yeah, mingling. Talk to Eros. Or we can talk more if you like. Just try to relax, Grace.
Sure, yeah. Relax. That's what this party is for, right?
Grace!
Hey, Eros. Nice to... Oh. Okay.
Aphrodite will be so happy you're here. It means so much, you have no idea.
Apollo told me. Calliope always refused to come to these things, right?
Yeah, no matter how much Aphrodite begged. Every time she does this, I don't know how to handle it. I almost want to run upstairs and demand she stop. Remind her that this never works. Sorry, I shouldn't unload on you. It's been a bad week.
From the sounds of it, this happens a lot.
Every 20 years or so. That's how long she can hold out until she just can't stand it anymore. Every time, Aphrodite forgets. At least for a while. But I don't. I remember everything. I'm there for the nightmares, the panic attacks, the days she doesn't even remember the war's over. And now I'm arranging her gathering again, so she can die again. And I'll watch it all again.
Is it okay if I ask what happened? I don't mean to pry, but I'm new. I really don't know.
I know, but it happened to Aphrodite, not me. It's not my story to tell.
If I know what she was dealing with, I might be able to help.
Could you? I suppose it wouldn't hurt. What happened is that Brother Ares happened. He missed out on the first world-spanning war, you see, so he was damned if he'd miss out on the next one. He found some jackbooted mortals so full of themselves and their supremacy, and he told them about the idols. Then they came for us. Took us completely by surprise. Some they killed, but Aphrodite, her they captured.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Aphrodite was captured, but she's here now, so she must have escaped.
She didn't. Do you know the name Hephaestus?
No. Should I?
God of smiths. He could make anything, any tool or weapon. He was Aphrodite's husband, and he adored her. When he found out the mortals were torturing her, he went mad. He was determined to save her.
Wait, they tortured her?
Nothing extreme, I'm told. They were too frightened, but they were also determined to wring every last secret out of her. So, who knows how long that fear would have lasted. Thus, Hephaestus made a deal.
With the, jackbooted guys.
No, with their enemies. That's what saved her.
Then this deal is how Aphrodite survived.
It's how we all survived. It's what brought us to the new world. Hephaestus saved us all. We never saw him again. That was the deal. He would leave, make their precious weapons, and never look back. Aphrodite never even got to say goodbye. It's funny, because Aphrodite didn't even like Hephaestus when they were married. She seemed to resent every minute they were together. But now he's all she can think about.
Is there no other way? Does Aphrodite really need to...
To die? I've asked that so many times. She's tried magic, drugs, psychotherapy, meditation, everything we could possibly think of. For a while, she'll deny anything's wrong. It all seems fine, and I start to hope. Maybe this time will be different. Then the nightmares begin, and the memories return. More with each passing day until... I hate it, but I see her agony. I can't deny her this.
Maybe I just don't understand, but... Isn't this... like suicide?
Some of the idols have committed suicide. They let themselves die without passing on their eidolon.
What happens?
What you'd expect. They're gone. Forever. Mother says she can't do that. She won't. Not until she sees Hephaestus again, I suspect. Not that what's happening here is anything casual. She still has to die for a while.
What is my part in all of this? I'll help if I can.
Aphrodite loves drama. She always has. She wants us here to... well, to remember, to celebrate our history. She'll ask you to use your power as part of the celebration. Could you use it to inspire her?
I can't force anyone to do anything they don't want to, Eros.
That's not what I'm asking. I believe that deep down, she doesn't want to do this any longer. She must see it isn't working. She just needs the strength to try. Or I hope that's all she needs.
I'll try, if you think it'll do some good.
I don't know if it will. I just find it hard to believe it could get any worse.
Famous last words.
Tell me about it. Do whatever you think is right, Grace. And thank you.
I know all these people, Grace. For as long as I can remember, I've known them. Yet sometimes I feel like I don't know any of them at all. Or they me.
I spoke to Eros. He's pretty broken up over all this.
Oh, poor Eros. Each new successor, his hopes rise up once more. And then he watches the new Aphrodite crumble, piece by piece, only to start all over again. It's so different from the olden days. Once he was the eternal disaster, and Aphrodite kept constant vigil over him.
Maybe he feels like he owes her.
I think he's followed her into a dark void, and somewhere, deep down, believes he deserves no better.
You don't enjoy these family gatherings, do you?
Are they family gatherings? Like the sort mortals have?
You call each other sister and brother and mother.
Well, yes, but...
And you've been together like 100 times longer than I lived with my family. All you're missing is a drunk uncle everyone has to apologize for.
That would be Pan. But yes, I feel very much out of place.
You look like you're in physical pain just being here.
Oh, enjoying my discomfort, are you?
Of course, it humanizes you. Makes up for all the abs on display.
I'm so glad you approve.
I should get back out there.
My family. Having you all here, gathered once again to see me off, it moves me. More than I can say. My loves, my darlings, my dearest friends. And you. Oh, my dear sweet thing. I dare not hope that you, with all your troubles, might sing me to my sleep. Yet here you are. Yet here she is. Huh.
It's lovely to meet you, Aphrodite. Properly, this time.
Ah, yes. Poor Calliope. Such a loss to us all. I shall miss her dearly. To have come so far, only... No, it doesn't bear thinking about. It's too much.
Is this Grace, my lady? The new muse?
Oh, what manners I have. Grace, Grace, meet the lovely mortal woman who shall tonight become the new me.
Hi, my name's Venus, and yes, it really is Venus. Nice to meet you, Grace.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet you.
We'll both be new at this, huh? Maybe we could get together and compare notes if you,
Survive my trial?
Yeah, Lady Aphrodite told me. I shouldn't have brought that up. I'm sorry.
There will be so much time for you lovelies to speak later. Now, we must prepare for my departure.
Are you sure we can't talk first? I really need your help, Aphrodite.
I know you do, my dear. I wish I could be there for you, but I'm afraid my time is up. But since you've shown such kindness in coming, I will ask Eros to make himself available to you afterwards. There's nothing I know that he does not. He is my son, my truest friend, my longest love.
Won't he be... a little distracted?
Eros has been through this before, Grace. He knows what must be done.
I was hoping I could talk you out of it, actually.
Oh!
Forgive my saying so, but you seem fine.
Yes, it might seem that way. Well, tell me, Grace, why should I let you try to talk me out of this,
Because Eros loves you? Do you have any idea what this puts him through?
I do know. I wish I could convince dearest Eros to find his own way, but he refuses to leave my side. My pain is his pain. The respite I seek is as much his as it is mine. Even so, tonight is not about the pain. It is about honoring the memory of what was while that memory still persists. Go, enjoy the gathering, Grace. Tell me when you're ready to begin.
Back again.
I don't think I'll have a chance to talk to Aphrodite. Not before, you know.
I was hoping she might have spared a moment.
What should I do?
You have two choices, Grace. Either you do as she asks and sing her to her rest,
At which point Venus won't have Aphrodite's memories yet.
or you somehow convince her to remain with us and hope she's grateful.
And doesn't regret it. Or get angry at me for ruining her party.
Do what you feel is right. It's a risk either way.
I should get back out there.
I want to apologize again, Grace. I really messed up. It looks like I'll be doing that a lot. Lady Aphrodite said I'm ready, but I don't know.
Being a god isn't something you can really be ready for.
I mean, you are not gods, though. Are you? Not really.
You don't think so?
To me, you all just seem like people. Special people, sure, but flawed and lost, like the rest of us. If I can ask, what does it feel like after it happens? Do you feel different?
Not really. I still felt like me, if that's what you're asking.
You didn't remember anything? About her? Who she was? She was just gone?
Yeah. Isn't that the point of all this?
I just wanted to be sure. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it could be real.
Are you really okay with all this? You know what's gonna happen, right?
I saw a lot of people in crisis at the shelter. I knew something was wrong with Lady Aphrodite. She's in so much pain, Grace. She won't let you see how much. Eros called me one night desperate. She wouldn't stop screaming. She didn't know where she was. She's a good person, Grace. A good soul. She deserves mercy.
How do you know Aphrodite exactly?
So I was working at this homeless shelter, right? A couple of years ago, and she came in with one of the older residents. And she was there in this, amazing dress. And she's sitting with this guy and really listening to him. Like they were old friends or something. I just thought, what is someone like her doing in a place like this? So I just went over and introduced myself.
That's it? Just like that.
Yeah. She came back to the shelter a few times, but by then, I guess she'd taken an interest in me instead.
But don't you feel this is wrong? I mean, you're ending your life. It's like some kind of murder-suicide pact.
I don't think of it like that. Lady Aphrodite is not committing suicide, and I'm not being murdered.
Aren't you? Your life is ending. It's being taken over, swallowed up by Aphrodite's grief.
I'm becoming part of something bigger, something amazing. Or maybe you're right. It'll be terrible, and I'll end up in so much pain I'll regret it.
So why go through with it?
Because Lady Aphrodite needs me. Maybe, just maybe, if I'm added into the mix of all the people she's been, maybe things will be different.
I have tried so hard, fought for so long, but in the end, I must bid you all farewell once again. But before I go, I would like us all to remember the sacrifices that brought us here, to this strange new world. This time, it is with the help of our lovely muse that we shall be guided. We let them rise. We let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. Since the beginning we were hidden. We held court from up above. 'Twas the golden age of reason, and I the queen of love. But a plague of hate was spreading, and there were vultures standing by. Before we fell to our knees begging, we fell from the sky. We let them rise, we let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. We sought shelter from the shadows, but were soon ripped from the dark. Those mortal souls that ended us were jealous from the start. They hunted me for power to fuel their psychopathic cause. And once they fell before me and worshipped all I was, they chased me down and threw me in a cage, held me prisoner for so long. I thought I'd win their hearts again. I was wrong. I was wrong. I see you have the power. It's a poisonous reward. Virtues only scorn me when I was once adored, loved by every mortal, then ripped from paradise. No one suffered greater till he made his sacrifice. The man that I ignored saved me when I fell. Yes, the husband I abhorred rescued me from hell. I thought it was a joke when it was said to me, he struck a deal with our enemy's enemy, made a secret weapon so my captors let me go. He gave up his freedom, leaving just a memory. And this love I'll never know is what he gave to me.
I can't believe what I'm hearing today. If your story stops there, I've nothing to say. I can't imagine. I feel like a child who grew up too fast. The goddess of love can't get past the past. What good is a flame when everything's ash? I can't imagine.
There's no excuse, but mortals can tell.
You know.
There's no sweet release, it's ongoing.
You
bid me farewell. Can you imagine?
I can imagine
This really happened. I won't let you weep. You know it's too late. Sing me to sleep. Pity my fate. My memories won't let me be.
lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment. I'm only new here, so all this seems out of my hands. And your ceremony, well, only a God understands. But when it's all over, what will become of the girl who keeps all your secrets secret from you? Will she disappear as you come into view? Is there some other way to get through? Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment. There's fire in you yet. Aphrodite returns, she'll never forget. Finally we'll be free. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song.
Lost in a moment. Lost in a moment. Lost in a moment.
Mother, is it true? You've chosen to.
Live. I have chosen to live. I'm so sorry, Venus. I made you so many promises, dearest, and I won't be able to keep them.
My lady, all I ever wanted was for you to be happy. If this is your wish, I'll be with you at every step.
I as well. Always.
I hope none of us regret this choice in the days to come. But thank you.
It has to be better than doing the same thing over and over.
Does it? It could also be far worse.
Don't talk like that, Mother. We can fight this.
I'm so very tired, my loves, but I will. I'll try. Now then, Grace, you needed my help. No doubt regarding Calliope's death. Have you any suspicions as to who might be responsible?
Not really, no. You're the first person I've asked. I'm told you know everyone.
Everyone. Now that's an exaggeration.
You do know everyone, Mother. You're always in their business.
That didn't sound entirely like a compliment, my love. Besides, I'm not the only one who's always in everyone's business, am I?
You're thinking of Medusa, aren't you?
I haven't met anyone by that name. Is that an idol?
Not an idol, per se, but she is immortal. She came over with us from the old world.
She works for Athena as a watcher. She's everywhere, lurking in the shadows. If you look anywhere, Grace, start with her.
Come now, Mother. It's time you rested. It's been a long night.
If I don't, I suppose you'll both gang up on me again. Very well.
So, did they have anything helpful?
Maybe? What do you know about Medusa?
I know she's dangerous, but she does Athena's bidding.
How sure are you of that?
I'm not sure of anything any longer. You aren't thinking of seeking her out, I hope.
I have to. How else will I find out what she knows?
You need to be careful, Grace. Medusa is not to be toyed with. Athena employs her as a spy master, a hound to do her bidding, a vicious hound at that. Athena's not likely to tell either of us where to find Medusa. I can't say for certain who would know. Are you all right, Grace? You seem troubled.
What you said earlier about Calliope's memories coming back.
That wasn't how I wanted you to find out. I'm sorry. If you like, we can talk about it later at my place, after you've had some time to digest.
I might do that. Thanks.
You really are amazing, you know that? Every hurdle, every piece of unpleasant news, you just keep on going. I don't know how you do it.
It kind of helps that I don't have a choice.
I just wish I could see the world through your eyes. Next to you, I feel very old.
How about you come with me sometime? Let me show you the world I see.
A tempting offer.
Sounds kind of corny, huh?
It really doesn't. I would love that. Can we go now?
Hey, I'm game if you are.
Take my hand for a minute. Let your hair down for a second. There's so much to like if you open your eyes. If you try to search for the light, you might be surprised. No, it's not hard to find. The courage you need to be joyful is something you build over time. No matter what I do, the answer's in you. But I will be here for the ride. Yes, I will be here for the ride.
I'll take your hand for a minute. Oh, it's more than I feel I deserve. It could grow on me, this world that you see. Yet I've been alive for too long. 1,000 years of learning about what could go wrong. I'm tired of being wrong.
If it all went wrong, and it could go wrong, still better to lose than to never open up. That's the one thing I wanna get across. The courage you need to be joyful.
I appreciate the
Something I'll
campaign.
come help you find.
If I ever let her know.
No matter what I do, the answer's in you.
The answer's
I'll
in
hold
me.
your hand all the while.
The courage you need to be joyful is something you build over time. No matter what I do, the answer's in you.
I'd say hello, Grace, but I'm afraid that look on your face might be catching.
What is this place?
It's a garden, darling. Surely even mortals have them.
This building. All those people I pass getting up here. Are they all idols?
Oh, at least some of them. Welcome to Olympus, dear Grace. Our home hidden away in plain sight. Marvelous, isn't it?
I've passed this part of the city 100 times. I've never seen this building. Was it always here, or...?
Our Lady Hecate provides glamours that allow certain things to go unseen, such as my glorious horns. Olympus is the same. Those invited see it. Those who aren't see exactly what they expect. It's not anywhere as grand as in the old country, but it serves its purpose.
How many idols are there? I've met, less than 12?
Oh, I don't know, 20, 30. Our numbers have dwindled so much I've stopped keeping track.
I didn't know there were that many gods.
We're not all equally legendary, it's true. Some idols were barely worshipped, others not at all. Indeed, not all of us are idols. Some are merely immortal. Hangers-on, if you will. You'll meet them all, given time.
Idols live here? I mean, Calliope didn't, obviously. Apollo doesn't either.
One must have special dispensation from Our Lady of Wisdom, Athena, before they can take up a private dung heap like Apollo's.
Am I gonna have to give up my apartment?
That's rather putting the cart before the horse, darling. First, you must outlive the weak.
Right. Good point. You asked me to meet you here?
I did. Though I feared you might decline, considering your rather callous rejection earlier. Regardless, my pride is intact, as is the favor you owe me, which I now wish to collect.
Fine. But just so you know, I'm not doing anything that's against the rules. I already have one trial coming.
Grace, baby, boobala. Have I ever led you astray?
Not yet.
Here's the thing. A friend has begged for my help, and you're far better suited than I to offer what he requires. I'll give you a key to reach the reliquary where he resides. You help him, and then we're even. If that's not enough incentive, the reliquary is also where you'll find the lovely Hecate. A sorceress of her power could aid your quest. What do you say?
This person I'm to help, what does he want? And why can't you do it?
Well, Grace, there are some things you're better equipped to handle than I. This, as I understand it, is a delicate matter of the heart. One that requires a muse's hand.
A matter of the heart.
What, did you think I was sending you to rough someone up? Set something aflame? Don't be absurd. The man has an issue with his love life. Even if you can't help him, I'll treat the effort as worth the favor.
What is this reliquary? Doesn't that have something to do with the bones of saints or something?
Not those relics. Our relics. The relics of ancient gods. Magical treasures collected over thousands of years. Books, mainly. We store them in a faraway place so no one unsavory can get their hands on them.
Unsavory like you?
Unsavory like most. Athena has decreed that these relics are not to be used by any save Hecate and herself. A rather dull waste of so much amassed knowledge and power, but who am I to judge? I'm not leader of the chorus.
If these relics are off limits, does that mean they're dangerous?
Some, but I'm not asking you to chase after any of that nonsense. In fact, I'd advise against it.
But what if one of those relics could help me?
My, such an adventurer you are. It's possible, but ask Hecate first. She, and I mean this with complete and uncharacteristic seriousness, is not an idol you or anyone wishes to cross.
This Hecate, do you think she could help me?
If she's of a mind. She is the goddess of dark magic, the creator of all our marvelous glamours. If anyone can help you, it is she.
And if she's not of a mind?
Then she won't help you. Grace, that part is up to you. I can't be expected to do everything, can I?
So that's it? Fix up someone's love life? Nothing trickier than that?
Oh, the way you talk, Grace. It makes me blush.
Well, it's just that...
I trade in willing favors, Grace. If I didn't, no one would want to do as I ask, and then where would I be? I may seem untrustworthy, but allow me to reassure you. If I wish you harm, you will walk into that harm knowingly, and with open arms.
What about Calliope? Did she walk into harm knowingly and with open arms?
You tell me. I could deny it, of course, but if you choose not to believe anything I say, what's the point of asking the question?
I'll think about it, but no promises.
Marvelous. The gentleman you seek is named Asterion. Lovely fellow, quite harmless. Now, if there's nothing else you need.
That depends. What can you tell me about Medusa?
That is a rather peculiar subject change.
Her name came up at Aphrodite's party. I'd like to look into it.
You'll find Medusa at a dingy little club appropriately named the Viper's Nest. Give her my regards. Do tell me you'll be careful if you go there, Grace. Medusa is a hideous creature and should be treated as such.
I'll be careful. What could go wrong?
Darling, there are so many responses to that, I can't pick just one. I'll send a package to your domicile that contains directions and the key you'll need to reach the reliquary.
I said no promises.
Well, if you decide to go, Grace, you'll still need all those things. Say hello to darling Hecate on my behalf, will you?
Hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse.
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I stopped the goddess of love from killing herself, I guess.
Whoa. Do gods have interventions? You know, they're nothing like I thought they would be. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline. Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right. Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddie?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's got to be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe. Who do you want to hear about?
What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Do you know anything about the muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9, though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow, I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry, she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true. What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then. You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into a sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him?
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me? I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost. but also what might still be out there.
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? And all those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, that's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi?
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz
Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddie. Time for more mystery solving.
Hello again. I can't remember the last time I had guests so frequently. I did tell you we could discuss your memories and the Eidolon more in depth after the party. Did you have any questions, or?
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
Well, we call it passing on, meeting the Eidolon, and it's fine. I've passed on 12 times that I can recall.
So your name isn't really Apollo?
Most recently it was Lucas. Everyone Lucas ever knew is gone, however, so these days I prefer Apollo again.
Lucas? Seems weird to think of you as a Lucas.
It was weird for him, too. Much like yourself, Lucas becoming Apollo was somewhat of a surprise.
Sounds like there's a story there. When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
Well, let's see. It starts as dreams you'll have of places you've never been, people you've never met, fleeting images, feelings. Then they'll appear while you're awake. You'll be eating breakfast and suddenly recall when you last ate something similar in the 17th century. The only difficult part is that eventually it can be hard to differentiate between your life and all those other lives. They blend together.
It does sound confusing.
A little, yeah. And not all the memories will be good ones. It can take time to process.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Grace, would you say that who you are is at least in part due to your experiences?
I guess so, sure.
Well, you'll have a lot more experiences. They won't feel like someone else's either. It will feel like you did all those things. They will shape who you are now, just as they shaped Calliope and all those who came before her. The good news is, you won't get all the memories. Each time we pass on, the older memories fade.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
We're many thousands of years old, Grace. If all of those memories returned with perfect clarity, you'd drown in them.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Tell me, how much do you remember from when you were a small child?
Bits and pieces, I guess. Not much.
It's the same for us. The further I try to think back, the more blurry it becomes. I remember the important bits, but little else. Some of the really old memories. There's so many mortal stories that get mixed up with them, things my previous selves learned as legends. It becomes hard to tell. It takes time, Grace. You'll remember all the lives you've led, but at a pace you can handle, and nothing more.
Tell me about this Lucas. How did he become you? Or is it how you became Apollo?
Apollo had taken to surfing. He left the city without permission and roamed the coast looking for... Well, I'm not sure now. Whatever it was, he found it one night when a giant wave took him down. He was drowning, and I thought, this is finally it. But it wasn't. Lucas saw Apollo struggling and swam out to save him. He pulled us ashore, but it was too late. It took a long time to realize what happened. I didn't return to the city until years later. By then, everyone thought I was Apollo's chosen successor.
So no trial for you, huh?
It wasn't easy at first, without memories or anyone to guide me, but no, nothing like that.
Wait, what would have happened if Lucas hadn't tried to rescue you? What if no one was there when you...
When I died, then the eidolon of Apollo's line would have ended forever, I think.
You think?
There have been stories about eidolons that survive for a time and go wandering. That's probably all they are, though. Stories. It's not something we've had much opportunity to study, but normally death without passing on is how an idol really dies. Forever.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Hopefully this eases whatever concerns you might have had. Anything else you'd like to discuss while you're here?
I'd like to know a little more about you. All I know is you live in a dump, you have an oracle, and you...
I'm not sure what to tell you. One day has bled into the next for so long I feel like I've been lost in the spaces in between.
Wow, that's a bit dramatic.
Yeah, well, it comes naturally. Music and the arts were once under my purview as a god.
How did that get decided? Did you have a big hat full of pieces of paper and you all picked at random?
No, we chose them for ourselves. Some, at least. Others were given to us by our priests. We collected godly responsibilities like marbles.
People collect marbles?
Oh, or whatever it is mortals collect these days. Cars, perhaps? The point is, we took our godly duties very seriously.
You must have been very different back when you were a proper god.
I think most of us were. We saw ourselves as, I don't know, teachers. Mortals were our students, and we guided them to enlightenment. We thought we were special, infallible. I was as magnificent as the sun, and I surrounded myself with those who basked in my radiance.
That doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, I was arrogant. If there was a man or woman I desired, then I had to have them, or there would be consequences. You wouldn't have liked me. I wouldn't have liked me.
So what is Persephone's beef with you exactly? Is it just about what Hades did to her?
That's no small thing.
It seems more personal than that.
I mentioned how Persephone's kidnapping almost meant war between Olympus and Hades, yes? Well, while this was all going on, Persephone managed to escape the underworld, and I'm the one she encountered first.
Uh-oh.
Hades was hot on her heels, and I had a choice. Either do battle with Hades and start the war right then and there, or let him take her back. Zeus would have had my head if I had sparked a war. Yet all I still think of are Persephone's eyes as Hades smugly took back his prisoner. It's not my finest moment.
Apollo, have you ever tried, I don't know, talking to someone about how you feel?
I will never understand this modern fascination with therapy and focusing on one's feelings.
It might help. You never know.
Yes, I've tried it. There was one I used to speak to. Hecate enchanted him never to reveal what I told him. It was interesting. Frankly, my time with you has proven far more beneficial.
I'm not a therapist, Apollo.
I understand. And I don't mean to rely on you, only that it makes me happy just to know you, Grace.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
For centuries, we were far more. I was the god of the arts, and the muses were my constant companions. We went everywhere together. They had many names, but the three most common were Clio, Thalia, and Calliope. The sisters of beauty, I called them, though they weren't always women.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Most of us seek out inheritors who are like us, I suppose, but not all. Calliope, in fact, was a man in our previous incarnation. Christoph, I think his name was. A poet Calliope adored. I was surprised when she made him a muse.
Who did Calliope become after that poet, Christoph?
You have to realize we're already into the period where Calliope and I weren't really speaking. She showed up one day in her new form, the one you met. An opera singer whose name she never revealed. We fought, as I recall. I told her she couldn't pass on every time she met an artist she fell in love with. Eventually she'd forget everything about who we were and where we came from. She said she'd rather forget than wallow in old memories like I or the other idols were doing. It was time to wake up and make the best of our situation. Calliope was an idealist without compromise. Always. She hated what we'd become. What I'd become. She wasn't wrong.
From how you describe it, you and Calliope fought a lot.
As often as we saw each other, which became less and less as time wore on. However, she fought with everyone. Calliope hated the idols being kept secret. She and Athena would get into screaming matches over the rules, and it got so I could no longer protect her. She moved out of Olympus years ago, and kept to herself. I just assumed she was wrapped up with some new artist when I got the news.
Do you regret not making up with her?
Every day I think about our last conversation and what I should have said or done differently. The problem with immortality is that you think you have all the time in the world.
It wasn't only fighting with Calliope, right? Surely there were good things too.
Is that how it sounds? No, she was marvelous. A force to be reckoned with if there ever was one. In the darkest days during the war, it was her songs that gave us hope. She kept Aphrodite alive through sheer determination, I think. Calliope cared. About us, about art, about people she'd only just met. It was her greatest strength as well as her greatest weakness.
I wonder why she picked me. I don't feel like I'm any of those things.
You underestimate yourself, Grace. I see a lot of her in you. She chose well.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
Cleo perished centuries before, the victim of an obsessed writer she'd spurned. He kept her in a cage as his personal muse.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
It was. By the time we found her, she was already... Well, it's enough to say her captor didn't survive her for long. Talia, however, was lost to us on the very last day of the war. We were about to leave on the ship, but she just never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never found out. I worried for years, even hired people to look, but as far as I can tell, she up and vanished into smoke that day. The war had ground her down. I was upset, but not surprised.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
You are. What would you like to know?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
The short answer is, we don't know. If I think far enough back, I can remember bits and pieces. I remember my first Pythian games, the day the idols split in 2 over Troy, the day my first son died. But before that, nothing. None of us do. I vaguely recall the very first Apollo many thousands of years ago, but was he the original? Did he appear out of the ether? I couldn't tell you.
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Interesting. The notion that there might be some other place far away where we're the norm is comforting. Sadly, our memories are filled with blanks. There was a war with beings we called the Titans. A terrible conflict where half our number died, yet do I remember a single battle. The last was after Rome fell. Zeus called us together to relay the news, told us to prepare for battle. And then, in the blink of an eye, I was in the 16th century. What made us forget 1,000 years? What happened during that time? We don't know. Athena calls that period the gap.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...
I know I was alive. I passed on my eidolon who knows how many times, yet the moment I woke up, as you call it, all memory of that period was gone. It was Athena who found us. I was in France, I think. She came to my farm, and the moment I laid eyes on her, I just knew. It all came back. Did someone do that to us? Did we scatter to the winds for 1,000 years on purpose? It's a mystery.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena claims she awoke on her own and spent the next century locating the other idols. We've pieced together very little of the gap or of our origins. We simply live with it. Gods we may be, but I'm afraid we don't have all the answers.
Earlier you mentioned your son dying. Did I hear that right? Can idols have children?
It was rare, but yes. Back in ancient times, some of them even became idols themselves.
Some of the idols are actually family, then.
Not anymore. Most of our children met terrible ends, a gift of the fates, perhaps. I don't know. The ones who weren't idols, it's hard, watching your children grow old and die. Never understanding why they can't have the same immortality you do, why you can't grant it to them. My first son is why I'm not permitted in Hades any longer. Let's simply say that most idols have stopped having children, and maybe leave it at that.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
I don't think we would have left the old world otherwise. It was home.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
I caused it. I foresaw what was going to happen, so I tried to prevent it. I told Ares. I figured if the god of war couldn't stop what was to come, then...
And that's why he betrayed everyone.
He decided the idols were a lost cause. Because I told him we were.
Surely it could have happened anyhow. It was a big war. The biggest.
Perhaps. We'll never know, will we? My time afterwards was spent helping the survivors, keeping us on the move. If Hephaestus hadn't intervened, we would have all been captured.
And he's...
Oh, gone now, we assume, like so many others. We are nothing more than refugees from a war long over, Grace.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the New World? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
I don't think it was the place so much as the condition we were in. Shell-shocked, one might say. Our entire world had been turned upside down. Suddenly, we had rules. Secrecy was paramount, and no one was permitted to leave the city. Some, like my sister Artemis, couldn't abide it.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Goddess of the hunt. And a wild thing herself. She left, I think. Faded away without a word. As many did in the early days here. Later, Athena became even more strict. For our own good, of course, but it hasn't been easy. This city has never felt like home so much as a temporary shelter.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Of course. I look forward to it.